Amber Heard has scored her first major magazine cover story since the end of the trial. But it's in Italian. So let me translate it for you. Hey up everyone, it's me, Stef The Alter Nerd, your nerdy alternative, and welcome to another dose of the Daily Nerd, where I break down the news and pop culture stories of the day that's pretty much caught me eye. And oh my goodness, the timing of this cannot be ignored, okay you guys? At the same time Amber Heard submits her appeal to the courts is the same time she scores her first magazine cover story since the trial ended. However, the magazine, it's in Italy. We're going to break it all down for you in a moment. What does the actual magazine article cover? What does it say? I'm providing the full translation of the lot of it. Before we do so, though, a little bit of housekeeping. Firstly, YouTube human reviewer, I see you lurking. I'm not going to say any trigger words or anything that's going to offend your ear holes. And to everyone else awesome enough to have clicked on this video, hi, welcome, how are you doing? If you love news and pop culture on the daily served with a little bit of sass and gobbiness, do make sure you click on that subscribe button, like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracies, theories and whatevers. Also as well, for your consideration, you can always send me a super thanks, which is just below this video right here. And let's jump into this, shall we? So there is a point in this article where it kind of turns around and is like, you know, Amber Heard's guilty, but also she's not. Like, they're trying to square that circle, guys. So we're going to get onto that a little bit later on. But here is the cover for F magazine. It is an Italian publication. They've been going on for about 10 years now. And here she is in all her glory. And it says, Amber Heard, quanto odio contro di me, which essentially means all this hate against me. So much hate against me. Oh, poor lass, yeah. So much hate against you. When you lie and you've been literally found guilty of defaming Johnny Depp with your lies. Oh, yeah, so much hate. So much hate, yeah. So here is the, let's say, second page of Amber Heardness from this particular magazine with a little bit of a scribble here. To essentially translate that, it's saying enough with the processes. So it's been 6 months since Johnny Depp defeated Amber Heard in court. He is rightly, yeah, quite rightly, adored by fans. She, less rightly, continued after losing to be insulted by haters. Yes, because she wouldn't drop it. She then turned around and said, oh, there's a problem with the jury and there was a problem with the process and she's still the survivor and Johnny's still this, that and the other. Like, she would not let it go. She lost. Take the L. You are done. You were proven. It's done. It's done. But why is only one of the two allowed to leave behind a sick story? So really the translation of that to my mind in terms of what they're trying to say there is, why is only Johnny Depp only now allowed to turn around and be like, Amber Heard's the monster, but Amber Heard ain't allowed to turn around and say that Johnny Depp's the monster? Because it was proven in court that was the case. So, you know, just saying. And how important is the word of a powerful man against that of a strange woman? A writer expert in law and rights tries to answer here. Well, yeah, let's not, you know, forget the prior 6 years preceding to that particular trial, where Johnny Depp's word meant absolute BS, and everyone listened to Amber. She was more powerful at that point. Everyone was like, believe Amber Heard, and everyone did. Well, in terms of Hollywood and the media, us lot in the Justice for Johnny Depp camp and the internet were more or less pretty much like, nah, Amber Heard's full of BS. Well, yeah, there we go. Here is the third page of Amber Heardness in F magazine. There's a little bit of a scribble here. I'll try and read it in Italian. Amber Heard, 36 anni, oggi vive in Spagna, a Mallorca. Dopo il processo, la sua carriera ha avuto uno stop e l'attrice sta aspettando di sapere se Marvel terrà le sue scene o la sostituirà nel nuovo capitolo di Aquaman in cui le interpreta Mera. I may have mispronounced some of that Italian incorrect, but hopefully you get the gist of that. In English, it says Amber Heard, 36 years old. Today, she lives in Spain, in Mallorca. After the trial, her career had a stop, and the actress is waiting to know if Marvel, DC, come on, get it right, will land her scenes or replace her in the new chapter of Aquaman in which she plays Mera. In other words, they've confirmed she is living in Spain, in Mallorca, that after the trial, her career's just gone. It's stopped. She's done. It's ended. She's just waiting to know if DC are going to include her or not in the upcoming Aquaman film. If they are going to allow in a couple of scenes, or completely remove her completely. And bear in mind, millions and millions and millions, over 4 million signatures on that change.org petition being like, remove Amber Heard in her entirety from Aquaman 2, otherwise we ain't watching. Yeah, there's a good chance Amber Heard ain't going to be in Aquaman 2, hopefully. Here's the next page. This is where the article actually starts. The meat and potatoes of it all. Am I going to be saying all this in Italian? No, we're just going to go straight to the translations on this one. So here we go. They explain Amber Heard, 36 years old, Texan, begins as a model and stands out with North Country, Story of Josie in 2005. Fame comes in 2011 with Drive Angry with Nicolas Cage and The Rum Diary with Johnny Depp. So here it's a little bit of a mini biography of where she started out and, you know, her breakout roles. So if today Amber Heard, the name comes up in conversation, faces turn upside down. They call her the crazy one. Even those who, until a few months ago, didn't know who Amber Heard was, now do. Thanks to the trial. They know her of Johnny Depp's ex-wife, because they divorced in 2016. And her name's on everyone's lips after she lost big style. They explained that the media trial was the most media-mediated trials ever. In other words, everyone and their dog had something to say about it, which, you know, was pretty much, you could term it the trial of the freaking century, right? The defamation lawsuit brought against her by the Hollywood star, i.e. Johnny Depp, so much so that one wonders all this hatred that's been unleashed against Amber Heard from all sides has deeper roots, and a greater metaphor than how much we can really care about a man and a woman we don't know or will we ever know. To me, that's not... what? That's just talking BS. It's not about why we care so deeply about two people that we personally don't know. It's about the bigger issue at hand. Who's the survivor, who's the monster, and who's to be believed? And this whole issue of men too is a thing and should be treated with more respect and more reverence and more belief. Because it's all been all about believe all women. And this is coming from me, an actual survivor, right? It's all about believe all women, right? But that's wrong, because guess what? Some women lie. They lie through their back teeth, guys, when it comes to this stuff. And there's a special place in hell for them. I've always said that. But guess what? It goes both ways, because men are survivors too with this stuff. And society has to wake the hell up. And so people were so invested. Not because why would you be invested when you two people you don't know? It's not that. Because the wider, bigger issues at play that involved Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. So saying this completely misses the point. Amber Heard and Johnny Depp have a long history of litigation behind them. The last chapter, however, is perhaps the one that caused the most sensation. Yeah. So we know they talk about the Washington Post article and why Johnny Depp sued over that. At the end of the trial, they describe essentially how the redress that Johnny Depp was awarded, over $10 million, who in turn will receive 2 from Johnny. Under the law, they say, Depp is right. To me, it's like, why be that? It's like, under the law, Depp is right. But it's like, I'm waiting for the but, right? But what? He's right. It's been proven. Court of law. He was the survivor. Amber Heard won. Amber Heard caused defamation. Johnny Depp's a survivor. Like, yeah, under the law, Johnny Depp is right. Yeah. And I feel like there's a book coming on. And there kind of is. So stay tuned for this. Had it been a man. So just before the start of the trial, which began in April in Virginia and finished in June, Amber Heard wrote on Instagram that she was going to be offline in the next few weeks. And there's that little blurb there. We all know what she said on Instagram before the trial started. Going on to the next paragraph, they say Heard is not a centered person, but Depp is not either. That's like a literal translation in terms of when I've translated it. What they're actually meaning, giving it a bit more context, is Amber Heard's not a balanced person, but neither is Johnny Depp. Well, no shiz, Sherlock. Doesn't matter about whether they're balanced or not. People can be unbalanced, but still be okay and still not be monsters, right? But it is a fact that the word of a woman against that of a man of power very often matters less. No, again, going back to the last 6 years prior to the trial, in the media, everything Amber's heard was, she was heard more than Johnny Depp. The Justice for Johnny Depp movement prior to the trial was massive, don't get me wrong. But it exploded and it increased in its ranks exponentially once that trial started and it was televised. Until then, in a great manner of ways, we were marginalised to a certain extent. Called crazy, insane, why don't you believe Amber, blah, blah, blah. It is fact that the hatred that's been unleashed towards Heard against her as a person by women and men is a real, violent and outsized hatred compared to what Heard may have done. Like, what? So, she's been proven to have defamed against Johnny using accusations that are absolutely monstrous. And you're saying that even if she did do it, right? Even if it was real and she did lie, if they're going to entertain that fact, right? And she was actually the monster instead, well, she would receive less hate than what she's receiving now in the reality of what she may have done. What? That's what I'm getting from that anyway. Maybe my interpretation in terms of what they're trying to say is wrong, but that's what I'm getting. On the one hand, it's very true that in an era in which with great difficulty women are trying to denounce the monsters to which they're subjected to, launching false or at least unfounded accusations and causing very serious damage to everyone. Women are not finding difficulty speaking out anymore. Like, seriously, it's easier more now than ever for women to speak out against their monsters. Could it be more improved and better? Yeah. But compare that to, let's say, 10 years ago, it's much easier. But, for Amber Heard, as she was speaking out once the Me Too movement had just launched, it was so difficult for her. One of the freaking easiest times to do so. This is BS. On the other hand, if Heard hadn't been a woman, if she hadn't challenged our champion, our Captain Jack Sparrow, would we have reserved all this hatred for her? Doesn't matter. We were Johnny Depp, Captain Jack Sparrow. It could have been someone else, another actor that she was lying about, defaming about. And she would have still got the same reaction. But no, it's all about the perfect target. After the verdict, after selling a house in California and filing for bankruptcy, it seems that Amber moved to Mallorca with her daughter Una Page and girlfriend Bianca Booty. Choices that only fuel speculation about the strangeness of this beautiful Texan who has never really made it into the cinema. And, you know, this is one of the reasons why, you know, I really think that it's not a coincidence that this article has been released, her first ever magazine cover article since the trial ended, at the same time that her appeal has been submitted. Because I think, my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, this whole article has been fed from either Amber or Amber's team. Because why do they know that she's living in Spain in Mallorca? Why do they know that her girlfriend is now Bianca Booty? Because to my knowledge, I thought it was Eve Barlow. Who's feeding this magazine this specific information about Amber? And being so pro-Amber in their article. Right. Here's another page that we're going to dissect right now. So, openly bi and explicitly devoted to ambiguity is a title here. In fact, when it came out that Amber was dating Elon Musk, a relationship officially blossomed after a divorce from Depp in 2016. They were very much at pains to say that, even though there is potentially reason to believe that that affair started prior to the split up. It wasn't difficult for Johnny and his lawyers to argue that in reality, Amber and the Tesla and Twitter tycoon had intertwined a liaison before. There you go. According to Johnny, in short, Heard would have betrayed him, not only with Musk, but also with James Franco, which again, reason to believe that is the case, potentially. Their neighbour, Musk, was expected at the trial, but he didn't show up, as we know. Whatever the truth was in terms of whether the relationship with Musk started before or after they split up, we knew it lasted only a year. Amber, on the other hand, doesn't seem to be able to keep a relationship for long enough, as if she herself were a victim of a restlessness of her passion, which immediately becomes a rage. Like she can't be in a healthy relationship. Oh, poor Amber. She can't be in a healthy relationship. Oh, poor Amber. Got to feel sorry for her now. So here we go. History of Elon has recently returned to talk when the Twitter account at Real Amber Heard disappeared immediately after Musk's acquisition of the social network. How come? Was it her? So here they're talking about as soon as Elon Musk took over from Twitter, Amber went bye-bye. Was it her decision? Did Musk kick her out? I mean, to be fair, they are fair questions. We don't know for sure. So, okay, that's fair for them to be asking that. But they then turn around and say, and this, as we said, is undeniable. A powerful man has a much stronger voice than a woman, of any type of woman. No! Not when it comes to these kinds of accusations, because again, they're very, very powerful. And there's a very, very powerful kind of disposition of still a believe all women notion. As soon as you accuse someone of stuff like this, that someone's life is destroyed instantly. There is major power. Regardless if you're powerful or not these days, the Me Too movement put paid to that. I mean, frick, the shiz in bed. Harvey W. Bill Cos. I'm having to be careful with names here not to trigger YouTube. Come on. Let's not be what is it here. But above all, if it's an insubordinate, arrogant, different and independent woman who decides to have a child on her own, and a Heard, to the delight of the haters, did this too. So there we go, announcing her daughter, Una Page, 4 years ago on social media. And then going on to the next part, there's another Amber. In an era like the one we're living in which fundamental rights such as abortion, civil unions, the end of life are questioned, perhaps a beacon should also be lit on the other Heard, the forerunner who challenges conventions, who fights for the right serve, homosexuals, who decides for the surrogate by exercising a right that seems sacrosanct to me, to detach the idea of ring from that cradle rather than focusing on what really happened between the actress and the Hollywood star. So here it's like, do you know what? Forget that bad stuff with Johnny Depp. Forget the fact that she was found to lie, to defame Johnny Depp. No. Forget all that. Because actually, there's another Amber. The ones that fights for your rights, challenges conventions, civil unions, civil rights, fundamental rights. That redeems her. Then the article goes on to say, clearly, if there is nastiness, which can come from both a man and a woman, nice for them to say, to admit to that, but which is exercised by a man and more dangerous, if only because of the disparity of force, this must be denounced. Women can hold their own. Come on. And we heard Amber Heard can hold her own with those tapes. I mean, come on. Both sides are entitled to a fair trial. Well, that's very generous of them to say. But, well, I wish that as Johnny Depp is told for much more than this process for his career, his talent, his ideas, the same could be done for Amber Heard. Looking for information about her life, watching her films, before labelling her crazy out of her mind just hearsay. They may or may not like her ideas, they may or may not like her films, but it serves to give an identity to a person we've only spoken of up to now as ex-wife of. So what they're essentially saying there, to give more of a translation, is Johnny Depp now is able to move on. You know, he's doing the movie, he's been on MTV, he's released an album with Jeff Beck, they're touring. By the way, that Las Vegas show was still, oh my goodness, I still, to this day, it's like so freaking amazing. Like, literally there, and he's there. Oh my, awesome, right? Yeah, so his career, Rihanna with the Fenty situation, like, yeah, he's been able to move on in his career, but Amber Heard stuck. And you put Amber Heard in Google, and it's still all about this trial. Nothing about her career at all. She's done. Well, yeah, damn right. She lost. She was found guilty again of defamation. Not to sound like a parrot, but that's the reality of the situation. And it's like crying over that. Are you surprised? They say maybe before we too issue sentences, it would be a good idea to study a bit about the process we've all been talking about for months without knowing almost anything. Well, yeah, the media should be doing that, mainstream media. Hell freaking yeah. But guess what? Us lot, we studied the process. We watched every single minute. We researched everything before even the trial freaking started. We know our shares about all of this. And at the end of the day, we are able to make an informed decision, or as they put it, issue a sentence on her. Yeah. They say, the author says, I'm a great fan of trials, and among the many things they taught me, there's one that is very important to me. Being sure that a person has received a fair trial is the most important point. Of course she received a fair trial. We watched the thing. We were witness to a fair trial. That Judge Ascarati, was freaking amazing. Studying the papers before issuing summary judgment is our right, but also a duty when we speak in public about something we're not aware of. Trialing Amber Heard makes no sense for us too. She's already had one and she's lost. Yeah, but she's not letting it go. She's doing the appeal. She did the media round straight after she lost. She's still promulgating, still promoting this whole thing of she's the survivor, Johnny Depp's the monster. The fight continues. And then here's a little bit of a final bit here. So the title to this little mini segment here, in Italian, I'll try and read this. Se sei vittima subisci, se regisci non sei vittima. Una cultura da cambiare in copertina. I can read most Italian, which essentially means on the cover, a culture to change. If you are a survivor, suffer. If you react, you are not a survivor. So apparently the trial has been called a death blow for the METOO movement. Again, I've got to be careful with trigger words here. No. If anything, it proves that when a survivor, i.e. Johnny Depp, faces their monster, i.e. Amber Heard, in court, a survivor can win. And it's so rare for a survivor to win. It's so rare for it to even get to court, right? This is actually a massive win for the movement. But their confusion lies on who the survivor actually is. But generally to say it's those who lived the autumn of 2017 with dismayed annoyance and since then can't wait to declare the demise of the movement that in reality was never a movement. That and all the campaigns that 5 years ago forcefully opened a new chapter in the discourse of the monstrousness against women in the workplace and in private life. They're not a movement, but a moment in a longer history, the history of feminism, which has over 2 centuries worked and struggled to question our perception of reality and create a more tasteful world in which no one should feel alone or forced to suffer in silence. Yeah, I can get on board with that. The Depp Heard case is just one episode among many, one that resolved unfavourable for the woman involved, but which we still need, and we see it right now. It's happening now to continue talking about what are the power dynamics that make it so difficult to get out of a monstrous relationship. Again, they're ignoring the evidence, the facts that was presented at court that allowed Johnny Depp to overwhelmingly win on all 3 counts. And Amber Heard only to win on 1, which really wasn't against Johnny Depp. It was Adam freaking Waldman and his tweets. And then they talk about this double truth. So, it says here, when we talk about justice, there are always 2 truths, the judicial one and the human one. The judicial one is made up of proceedings of sentences of application of the laws and interpretations by judges and jury. So the court one, right? The human one sometimes coincides with the judicial one. Other times it tells a story of unrecognised injustices and offences, of imbalances of power that become a sentence, of experiences and sufferings that are given an interpretation opposite to the one closest to the reality of who has suffered, told and denounced them. So, how does that kind of freaking logic, if you're going to call it that, apply to the Amber Heard situation? Well, this is what they say. The trial of Amber Heard has ended. The judicial truth is that she's guilty of defaming her ex-husband. On the human truth side, on the other hand, it's legitimate to have opinions in this case that Amber Heard has been the survivor of mistreatment and has reacted nastily to nastiness. In other words, she's guilty, but she's not. Well, she's guilty from the law perspective, because she's been found guilty on that. Oh, we can't square that circle, guys. Yeah, she's been found guilty on that. But on the human side, well, it is legitimate on the human side that she isn't guilty. Because, she has been mistreated and she has reacted nastily to nastiness. From a human side, from the life side of things, outside of the court. Inside of the court, yeah, she's guilty. Outside of the court system, no, she's not guilty. That's how they're trying to square this circle, guys, right now. That is, my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, Amber Heard's PR move right now. They can't say she's not guilty because she's been found guilty. But they're going to try and square this circle now and say, look, inside of court, she's guilty, but outside of court, really, in the reality scheme of things, she's not. Which is another reason why, again, I really, really do think, opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, this article is either fed from Amber Heard herself or Amber Heard's PR team. Because this is too much of a PR mental gymnastics situation here. It's too PR-ish to me. Again, at the same time this is released is the same time she submits her appeal, right? And so here we go, saying, the survivor women are expected to all be like the ones in the stock photos used to illustrate the articles, huddled in a corner, hands on their heads, terrified and unable to move. So the quintessential kind of look, they say, for a survivor, which ain't always the case, guys. Those who study the phenomenon of DV know that there are many survivors who react or go after their monster in turn. Yes, it's a normal reaction, and the thing that makes you say, but I gave them back to him. I know how to defend myself. It's a way to not feel like the survivor, to say I still have control of this situation. Now that is true. That is true. But for Amber, the video, the tapes, the evidence that was heard, yeah, that one, it might be conspiracy, whatever, a survivor fighting back and defending themselves against Johnny Depp. That really, really wasn't. Things that she was saying as well. Right. Okay. Many of the opinions expressed on this matter have pointed out that the outcome of the trial would have made it more difficult for women to talk about the nastiness they suffered. No, again, that's BS. Especially if the monster is a well-fit and well-connected man. The real capital of the powerful is the relational one. Money is a way to consolidate one's social power, but the thing that saves you is the support of your networks of acquaintances and collaborations. In this, Depp and Heard have never been equal, neither during their marriage nor during their trial. Okay, she had all the acquaintances and networks and contacts, and still has to a certain extent in regards to mainstream media. Back then, she also had it for Hollywood as well. Johnny Depp, in comparison, all he really had, it really comes down to it, was us, the Justice for Johnny Depp crew. Right? That was the public support he got. When it came to the industry and mainstream media, zero, zilch, done. They completely wrote him off. Completely wrote him off. And then going down to the final bit, the faults of the madwoman. Laws, trials, and tribunals do not exist in the absolute void of third-party positions. Justice works by approximation. It is affected by the culture of those who have conceived and still think of its structures, dictates its values, and the measure of punishments. If an artist can be acquitted because his survivor replied to his text message after the evil incident, if a monster is not considered sporadic and non-continuous, if the mistreatment of a woman is not recognized as such because she's considered crazy, is uncontrollable, and because the law overlaps the unwillingness to think about the complexity of reactions to such nastiness, an underestimation of its impact on mental health, self-esteem, even the self-preservation instinct of those who suffer it. The law expresses a culture, and if culture is imbued with misogyny, the law will be too. Let's keep that in mind in today and always. Oh my goodness, if that wasn't freaking wrote by Amber Heard or Amber Heard's PR team, then she's the freaking bed. I'll eat me hat. I will eat my hat. So self-serving. That's essentially turning round and saying, well, guess what? Amber Heard went to court, trusted the system enough to not be misogynistic, to not be a certain type of way towards those that suffer from mental health, this, that, and the other. To look at her fairly, she was happy to think that way when she went in and go for it. But now she's lost. Oh no, the whole system's misogynistic. And is completely not fair to survivors, this, that, and the other. So it's not just trying to, belittle Johnny Depp and completely try and still destroy his credibility to this day. No, now they're going after the court system. and trying to destroy the court's credibility. Because I tell you something, would they be trying to pull that move if she won? Right? Would they be trying to pull that move if she won? And again, that's my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, of if Amber Heard or Amber Heard's team actually wrote that or fed that information to the author of that article. Right? But yeah, guys, she's trying to square the circle on a lot of things, but the main takeaway is I'm guilty, but I'm not. Like, from the law perspective, I'm guilty. Like, I was found guilty of defamation, I'm guilty. But you know what? Outside of the court of law, the human side of things, I'm not. Here's the freaking bed. She's really going to try and go for this. Like, you thought her rationale was crazy before? Dude, next level craziness. What the deuce? But you know what? Enough with my gob after, wow, 36 minutes. It's a long one, but we really need to go through that article. It's now time for your gobs. Comment down below. What do you think to all of this? Your opinion, conspiracies, theories, and whatevers. And if you appreciated this video and you want more sass and gobbiness on the daily, and why not, do make sure you click on that subscribe button, like, share, as ever, comment down below your opinion, conspiracies, theories, and whatevers. Also, as well, for your consideration, you can always send me a super thanks, which is just below this video right here. And until the next time, you guys, laters!